unable to travel to the Holy Land to walk where Christ walked on the day of his passion. As we present the living stations, candles and a crucifix will travel beneath each of the stations on the walls of our worship space in honor of this most solemn tradition of our faith. Following the announcement of each station, we ask you to join in the response, because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. At the beginning of the 12th station, we will invite all who are able to kneel. Please open your hymnals to number 488 at this cross or station key, number 488. First station, Jesus is condemned to death. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you. Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. It is Friday. Very early in the morning, the chief priests with the elders, the teachers of the law, and the whole Sanhedrin reached a decision. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. Then Judas, his betrayer, seeing that Jesus was to be condemned, deeply regretted what he had done. He tried to return the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying,
I have sinned and betrayed innocent blood. What is that to us? Look to it yourself.
Judas was in despair and ran away to meet his death. The Sanhedrin, the council of elders, arrested Jesus during the Jewish festival of Passover because they were deeply threatened by his teachings. They dragged him before Pontius Pilate, the governor, to be tried for blasphemy, for claiming, they said, to be king of the Jews. They wanted Jesus to be crucified and knew that Pilate was the only one with the power to impose a death sentence. Pilate questioned Jesus about these charges of treason.
Are you king of the Jews? You say so.
Pilate then addressed the chief priests and the crowds.
I find this man not guilty.
The crowd, incited by their leaders, kept shouting,
"Crucify him! Crucify him!"
Pilate spoke to them, wishing to release him.
Why? What evil has this man done? I find no crime in him deserving of death.
They persisted with their cries.
"Crucify him! Crucify him!"
Pilate saw no reason to crucify Jesus. He knew he was being used. He felt he had to act so that he would not be perceived as weak. As he prepared to pass judgment, he hesitated. Then took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. He said,
I'm innocent of this man's blood. It is your responsibility now.
With that, he rushed inside and left Jesus in the hands of his soldiers. They delivered him to be crucified.
Jesus stands strong in his silence, as he is condemned to die for a crime he did not commit. He has been betrayed by a friend, falsely accused and judged wrongly, and yet he accepts his punishment without protesting. We are not just onlookers, as sinners, we too shout at the crowd, "Crucify him." How many times have I been the one to persecute or judge others without question, without thought, without even a tear? O Lord, give me the grace to choose humiliation over pride. Help me to bear wrongs done to me with love and forgiveness. Forgive me for the times that I allowed an innocent person to suffer.
While she waited in her anguish, seeing Christ in torment anguish, bitter sorrow pierced her heart.
The second station, Jesus accepts his cross. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you. The soldiers taunt Jesus, saying, "Hail to the King of the Jews." They mocked him with a purple cloak and a crown of thorns. Then a heavy cross is laid on Jesus' shoulders. He is ordered to carry it to the site of his execution. Jesus accepts the cross willingly. Carrying it by himself, he goes out to the place of the skull, Golgotha, to be crucified with 2 other men.
Lord Jesus, you accepted the cross, even though it did not belong to you, even though you did not deserve it. You carried the burdens. You carried the burden that belongs to us. Teach us how to bear each other's burdens.
The third station, Jesus falls the first time. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you. The cross is heavy, and the road to Calvary, the road to Golgotha, the place of death, is long. Jesus, weary from lack of sleep, loneliness, fear, and the beatings he received, slumps to the ground. Soldiers quickly drag him to his feet again.
All around Jesus are the mockers and those who take delight in human misery. It is hard and sticky in the crowded little street. Instead, they are intent, in the name of their God, to do this evil that I too participate in. My task was clear. I did what I had to do. My men did what they had to do.
Lord Jesus, so much of our weaknesses emerges out of our selfishness and fear. So much is because we know what we must do and do it, regardless of how it may add to your suffering. Forgive us and forgive all who mock and jeer.
The fourth station, Jesus meets his mother. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you. In horror, stunned, numb, Mary watches Jesus sway and stagger down the street. Her son, who glances at her in his agony, is being dragged off to his death.
The look on her face. I could tell that she was his mother. Such anguish and pain as she looked upon him, and he upon her. I cannot tell what they said to one another in that glance. Whatever it was, she stood there in anguish, tears pouring from her eyes. What mother would not feel the agony of Mary's helplessness and sense of loss? What father would not care?
Lord Jesus, help us to remember Mary, Mother, as she stood alone in grief. Help us to remember all the other Marys of this world when they suffer. May we be a true source of grace and comfort to them, comforted as we are by you.
The fifth station, Simon Cyrene helps Jesus carry the cross. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
Jesus is faltering under the load. The soldiers feared that he might die along the way. They seize Simon of Cyrene, put the cross on his shoulders as he stands next to Jesus, and make him help shoulder the load.
It was the only thing to do, a thing we have done 100 times. A perfect stranger, coming into the city, just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. I demanded that someone be grabbed and forced to take hold of the cross. I was relieved when the guards picked him out of the crowds to help. I was ashamed that I could not bring myself to step out of character, out of my role, to help the man.
Lord Jesus, we thank you for strangers in our midst, who often unwittingly and unwillingly show us what to do and how to do it. Open our eyes and hearts. Enlarge our vision that we may be ones to help you and others to bear the unbearable load.
Christ Jesus, for our salvation, scourged with cruel acclamation, bruised and beaten by the rock.
The sixth station. Veronica wipes the face of Jesus. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
As Jesus passes by, a woman, Veronica we call her, reaches out of the press of the crowd and lovingly, gently wipes the blood and the sweat from Jesus' face.
I am stunned. A woman has done what no one else has done. She has reached out and helped the helpless, mopping the blood and sweat from his face. Even the crowd quiets down for a moment. What she has done is so full of love and compassion and courage. She has done what I have only thought about doing.
Increase, O Lord, our courage and compassion. You accepted a woman's selflessness. Reach her of love in your time of need. Help us wipe away every tear from the eyes of those who are oppressed, even when it may cost us to do so.
Christ Jesus, with white blood verily, all her anguish unavailing, sovereign breathe his very last.
The seventh station. Jesus falls the second time. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
Jesus falls again. Despite the help of the siren, he lies sprawled in the dirt, sweat beading on his face, mingling with the blood from the cuts on his forehead and the dust of these well-traveled streets. The soldiers, impatient and anxious to be over with this job, roughly drag him to his feet again, cursing him.
My heart wrenches, my stomach churns. I feel my own sweat upon my brow. I can only guess at the agony Jesus is in. The weight of the cross is too much, and he is so very weak. He is breathing a heavy burden. And he has been forced once again to his knees, like so many have before him, and so many will after him. Do they really know what is happening? How this Jesus is enduring what he should not have to endure. I fear not how welcome will the place of execution be. This world seems to go on forever.